Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to another day. So, anyway, I'm back to base now, so I believe that we can have consistent videos now. So, I was going to speak about something, but then I have a mind to talk about something else. But let's just read something from the book of Jude, and then we'll proceed, okay? I'm reading from Jude 1. It says, Jude, a servant of Jesus Christ and a brother of James. It says, to those who have been called, who are loved by God the Father and kept by Jesus Christ, it says, mercy, peace, and love be yours in abundance. That's what he says. But that's not where I'm going to. Then he says, dear friends, although, this is where I'm going to. He says, although I was very eager to write to you about the salvation we share. He says, although I was very eager to write to you about the salvation, the common salvation that we share. He says, I felt I had to write, as he felt compelled, I had to write and urge you to contend for the faith that was once for all entrusted to the saints. Now, why am I reading this? He says, he initially wanted to write to them about the salvation that they all share, right? He says, but then he felt compelled to write to them to contend for the faith. What does it mean to contend? To fight for the faith. Okay? About the faith which they all share. Okay, that's what he says. Now, why am I reading this? Well, because like I said, I wanted to talk about something else. I wanted to speak about prayer and then about a few other things. But I feel compelled to talk about something which I feel is much more important than that. Why am I saying that? Because over the course of the past few days, since I've been back for like 4 or 5 days now, and yeah, I was fatigued, jet lag, all of that, so I needed a rest. So over the course of all of that, I've had to sit down to think, and I've had to engage with people, and in engaging with people, I come realize something that most of us who claim to be believers, we do not have the slightest idea of what it is we've been called into. And why am I saying that? Okay, you hear someone, a pastor say or a preacher say that Jesus spoke to the people in parables because he did not want them to understand his message. I mean, it's outrageous, right? It doesn't make any sense. If you say that Jesus spoke to the people in parables because he didn't want them to understand his message, that tells me something that even the preachers did not even understand the message of Jesus. The preachers did not understand the revelation of Jesus Christ. That's the truth. That's number one. Number two, as a rule, when I study the books, like I keep saying, I keep referring to 1 Corinthians chapter 4, when Paul says, do not go beyond what is written. It is very easy for us as humans to come and try to dispute whatever is written in the books and all of that based on our assumptions or our understanding of the books. It is very easy for us to do that. I try not to do that. You know why? What is written, and I will not go beyond what is written. It's like, how would I put this now? It's like I keep saying, when you listen to the things we talk about, we don't take things out of context from the book. We give you the proper understanding of what is written, the intention of the author at the time those words were written. That is what we put out there. You understand? And to do that, it is the Spirit that will lead you into that. When Paul says that the man without the Spirit cannot receive the things that come from the Spirit, neither can he understand them, for they are foolishness to him. Now, I'll tell you something. See, anybody, you could go to any college or any university or anywhere, okay, and study theology or divinity or whatever, okay? If you go there and you study all of that and you have a degree like a thermometer and all of that, if you do not have the Spirit of Christ, you cannot understand what is written in the books. That is all, period. And then another mistake that people make also is they allow external factors, okay, to influence their decisions. Factors from what we've been taught by the church. These things they allow influence their understanding of the books. But you cannot understand the book with that. It is the Spirit, the ghost that is with us. The Spirit of truth. It is that Spirit that must lead you into all truth. Else you will be misled. That is the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. So anyway, let's get into what we want to talk about. I just want to speak about the revelation of Jesus Christ. Okay, and when people say that Jesus spoke in parables because he didn't want them to understand what he was saying, that is a complete lie. That is an absolute lie. A disgusting one at that even, because it's only meant to deceive, nothing more. So let's read from Matthew 13. That's the parable of the sower. It says from verse 1, it says, that same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by the lake. It says, such large crowds gathered around him, large crowds gathered around him, that he got into a boat and sat in it, while all the people stood on the shore. Then he told them many things in parables. Listen, he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, says the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no roots. And then it says, other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. And still, other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 160 or 30 times what was sown. He who has ears, let him hear. That's what he's telling the people. This is what he taught them while he got in the boat, and he's offshore, and then the people are gathered there. This was what he told them. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, blah, 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 just as we've read, right? Then verse 10 says, the disciples came to him and asked, probably later, I don't know, but let's read. So the disciples came to him and asked, why do you speak to the people in parables? That was the question, which was a very good question. Why do you speak to them in parables? Then he replied, the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. Listen, I'll repeat that. He replies them when they say, oh, why do you speak to the people in parables? He replies them and says, the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom, that's what he means when he says whoever has. Because I've heard some erroneous preachers say that it meant whoever has property, that property will be taken complete rubbish. Don't listen to that. So Jesus says whoever has will be given more, and he will have an abundance of knowledge. He says whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken from him. I've dealt with this in a video. I think that was the Yahweh / Jehovah is the devil part 3 or something. I think I dealt with this there. When I said I was going to show you guys who does the taking away. I did that in that video, so you could watch that just in case you need to. So he says whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken from him. He says this, then he now gives the reason why he speaks to the people in parables. He says, this is why I speak to them in parables. Then he quotes Isaiah, right? Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. Then he says, in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. The curse of Yahweh through Isaiah, he said, is fulfilled in these people who cannot see and in these people who cannot hear. Then he quotes Yahweh's curse through Isaiah. He says, you will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, never perceiving. Then he says his own words now. He says, for these people's hearts has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Who closed their eyes? It's not the people that close their eyes. No one will close his eye consciously, no. The spirits, Yahweh and his people, through their curse, have closed the eyes of the people. That's why they see, they do not see. That's why they hear, they do not hear. So why does he speak to them in parables? Let's read. He says otherwise, he says, and they have closed their eyes. I've told you who closed their eyes, Yahweh and his angels. I've closed the eyes of the people. He says, otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I will heal them. He says, but blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For I tell you the truth, many prophets and righteous men longed to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. It doesn't mean that they didn't hear words. They heard words, but they could not hear. Why? Because Yahweh's curse was on them, even the prophets and wise men. That's why when Jesus says that all who came before me were thieves and robbers, I keep telling people, He's referring to Moses all the way to Malachi, all who came before him. It's very easy for us to change the discourse and reflect on the things that go on in the world. But I think, like I did say when I started this video now, I said was with my intention, right? When I read from the book of Jude, I was going to speak about something else, but I felt compelled to reiterate these things. Why am I saying that? Because the church, honestly, based on my understanding, and I don't really care, whoever accepts it or whoever likes it, it doesn't really matter. That's the truth. But based on my understanding, the church has not understood. We've turned the gospel, the good news of the Christ, we've turned it into a tradition of men. So it has lost its value. It's lost its power. What Jesus brought to this world was a revelation that was never present in the world before. Why? Because all were under darkness. All were under the power of Yahweh. And that is your sin. Like I keep telling people, because the church keeps preaching, sin, do this, don't do that, do that. We don't live by that law. That law belongs to Yahweh. And the law was weak and useless. That's the truth. That's from Hebrews chapter 7, verse 28. It says, for the law is weak and useless. You understand? So what am I trying to say? The reason I'm making this video is just to help people understand. See, Jesus spoke to the people in parables because they were under a curse. And that curse prevented them from hearing his words, from understanding the words he always spoke. So he would speak to them in parables. Perhaps through those allegories that he would speak, they would be able to relate it, to be able to have an understanding of the words he was trying to communicate to them. The few times he spoke to them plainly, what did they do? They picked up stones to stone him. Like in John chapter 8 from verse 44, when he tells them, you have your father the devil. Who? Yahweh is your father. Says your father is the devil, and the deeds of your father you wish to do. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth. Right? What did they do? They picked up stones to stone him. Why? Because according to Yahweh's law, anyone who blasphemes should be stoned to death. So they were going to be fulfilling Yahweh's law by trying to stone him to death. But his hour had not come, so he escaped from them. What am I trying to tell you? See, the true God, okay, the Most High God, who created the heavens and the earth, is called the Most High because he is the highest God, okay? And he is not the only God, okay? Else he would not be the Most High God, okay? When you hear preachers come and try to make a defense for Yahweh and say he is the only God, ask them simply, then who is the Most High God if Yahweh is the only God? Because, like I said, I keep saying, anyway, Yahweh's curse is on them. I was going to say, I keep saying why they cannot understand. Even when they read these things, it's still difficult for them to understand. That's why it's worth repeating. It bears me repeating these same things. Why? Because the curse is there. The curse is present. The curse is strong. So repetition has to be the law of deep and lasting understanding to help clean their minds, to help understand them. We have to keep repeating the words. Jesus says, what I tell you in secret, shout it from the rooftops. So what am I trying to say? In all of these things that I'm saying, it's just this simply. The revelation of Jesus Christ comes down to these simple things. Number one, we've been deceived for a long time. Not only us, the Jews were deceived. Moses was deceived. Like I said in one of the other videos, if you read the writing of Caiaphas, the high priest who sent Jesus to Pilate, he did say something there. It's either Moses was deceived or they've all been deceived. That's what he did say. Now, that is the fact. Moses was deceived in the burning bush. That's the truth. He was deceived by a cherubim, who's Yahweh. Okay, Yahweh is a cherubim. That's his species. He is not of the God race. He's of the race called the cherubim and the seraphim. Seraphim are the female version of the cherubim. See, it is easy because I've had interactions with people, and it is easy for them to want you to reason things the way they want you to reason things. I'll tell you, do not subject yourself to that. Why am I saying? I keep saying this. When it comes to the divine revelation, you must reach your own conclusion and truth, okay? Or you walk in the light of another's revelation. And when I say another's revelation, it is the Spirit who leads us in the paths of righteousness. It is the Spirit who shows us the way, who shows us the right path. It is not anything that we do. It is not because we are capable of ourselves or we are anything by ourselves, and like I said, or like I've said several times, all this happened by happenstance that I have to start making these videos because my own studies were personally for myself. It wasn't to share with the world. That's the truth. But then now I'm doing this, I have to make it very clear. The Spirit of God is with you. There is a ghost that is with you. That is the comforter. Everything you see, myself, whom you look at, this is temporary. The ghost with me is eternal. The same thing is with you. The ghost of truth, the Spirit of truth that Jesus sent into this world, that same Spirit is with you. Any gospel that does not recognize that there is an invisible presence with you, stay away from it. That is the truth, because that is a gospel of man. That is not the gospel of Christ. Any gospel that comes and tells you about prosperity, I'm not saying prosperity is wrong. If you want to learn that, go to a business school. That's the truth. That is not the gospel. The gospel is that mankind was in darkness. Mankind was in prison. Imprisoned on this earth by Yahweh. Or we were stuck in our senses, living this life as though this life was real. We want to build skyscrapers. We want to do this. We want to be the best graduates. We're competitive with ourselves. Jesus says the children of this world lord it over one another. That's what he says. That's exactly the life that Yahweh had subjected us to. What Jesus came was to free us from that. And he was the fulfillment of the word from the beginning, when he says, and after in our likeness. In other words, and later in our likeness. So Adam was made in the image of God. Christ, after his resurrection, has been made in the likeness of God. Do you get what I'm saying? So the revelation of Jesus Christ is such that the word of the Father manifested in this world, became a human, and tried to explain to people that this is the truth. This guy is the devil. This guy whom you people have been worshiping, that's the devil. Follow me. I will show you who the Father is. If you have seen me, you have seen my Father. That is the revelation of the Christ. Nothing more. And the gifts of the Spirit were just were a manifestation to affirm the words that he was speaking. That's why he would always say, it is my Father who is with me that does the works. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say, see, let no one deceive you. Stand fast in your faith. Your sin is that you do not believe in Christ. Your sin is not any other thing. Okay? So that is just all that I have to tell you. And you take care, and I'll see you guys again soon. Okay? Take care and God bless you. See ya. Ciao. Bye-bye.